Hey Grace Kids, welcome back to Grace Kids TV. My name is Darren Smith and I serve as the head of security and the director of facilities here at Grace Church. It's so great to be joining you today. In today's Bible story, we will learn about Zechariah giving hope. The Bible is God's Word. We've been learning that God cannot lie or even be wrong, so we can trust Him that everything we read in the Bible is true. Our Bible story today is from the book of Zechariah. Zechariah was a prophet who encouraged the people to rebuild the temple after they returned from exile. He also gave them hope by reminding them of God's promises. But before we get to today's story, let's head over to Grace Kids Trivia to see what you remember from last week's story about God delivering His people. Good luck!
Question 1, true or false? God's people were living far away from their home in Babylon for 30 years. God said that He would bring His people back home to Judah after 30 years. And the answer is false. This was close, but not quite true. God's people were living in Babylon, far away from their homes and land for 70 years, not 30 years. But God did make the promise that He would bring His people back home to Judah after those 70 years. And God always keeps His promises. Question 2, true or false? God would use the king of another nation to let His people go back home to Judah. And the answer is true. This was true. Cyrus was the king of a land called Persia. Persia attacked Babylon, so now Cyrus ruled over Babylon as well. And God gave King Cyrus an idea. Cyrus said, let God's people go back to their land and let them rebuild God's temple in Jerusalem. Question 3, true or false? King Cyrus told all the other people not to help the people as they traveled back to Judah. Just letting them be free was enough to help God's people. And the answer is false. This was not true. King Cyrus actually said the opposite. He said anyone not going with them should give them any supplies they need. And this was great news. Before, God's people had to stay in Babylon like prisoners, but now they were free. They could finally go home after 70 years. The people gave them gifts like gold, silver, dishes, animals, and more. And that leads us to our next question of the day. Question 4, true or false? Although others were trying to help by giving silver, gold, and other things, the people of Judah felt bad and did not take other people's gifts. And the answer is false. This one is not true. A man named Sheshbazzar, who was the leader of God's people, brought all of these things along when the captains returned from Babylon. And our final question of the day. Question 5, true or false? God keeps His promises. And the answer is true. This is definitely true. God chose King Cyrus as part of His plan to bring His people back home from Judah. And King Cyrus can remind us of Jesus. God chose Jesus as His plan to rescue sinners and bring us home to His kingdom forever.
I'm Megan, and this is Jessie. Hello, everybody. I hope you're happy to be here. Yes, we both hope you're happy to be here because we have a new Bible story. I hope we're having cheesy mashed potatoes with extra blueberry gravy for dinner tonight. Okay.
I guess that sounds like something good to hope for.
I hope I get to take an extra bubbly bubble bath so I can play with my favorite rubber ducky of all time, Mr. Clackers.
Jesse, why do you keep saying the word hop? Do you mean you hope to take a bubble bath?
Oh, yes, hope. That's what I meant to say. Hope is a new word my dad taught me.
Oh, I love learning new words. Do you know what hope means?
My dad said that hope is the feeling that something great will happen.
Ah, he's right. In today's Bible story, Zechariah gave hope to God's people when they really needed it. Let's listen to Zechariah's message of hope. After living in another land for many years, God's people were finally home. Some of them had traveled to Jerusalem to rebuild God's temple. They had started the work, but then they stopped because their neighbors didn't want them to rebuild the temple. God sent prophets to encourage his people to finish the temple and give them a message. One of those prophets was named Zechariah. God told Zechariah what would happen in the future, and then Zechariah told the people what God said. Zechariah gave a message of hope. This is what Zechariah said. One day, people in this land will worship only God. God will take away the idols, and no one will remember these idols or worship them. God was going to set up a new kingdom. Zechariah said God would give his people a new king, like a shepherd who cares for a flock of sheep. There will be hard times, but God will be doing something good, Zechariah explained. In this new kingdom, God will judge and punish all bad things. He will lead his own people back to himself. Zechariah said, the people will call out to God, and he will answer them. He will say, you are my people, and they will answer, the Lord is our God. The new kingdom will have a new city, a new Jerusalem that brings all the nations together and heals all of creation. Zechariah spoke a message of hope to God's people. God would one day set up a new and better kingdom with a new and better king. God kept his promise by sending Jesus. Because of Jesus, we can have hope and forgiveness of sins by trusting in him.
This week, we are going to answer the big question of the day, which is, can God be trusted? So to answer this question, we are going to all decorate a square, and you're going to write on the square, yes. The answer is yes. God can always be trusted. So here at Middleburg Heights, the question is written on the chalkboard wall, so you can walk down as a class or in a small group and hang your yes on the wall. Or if you're at Olmsted Falls, you can write the question on a piece of paper and then hang your squares around it to decorate with the answer yes. So I'm going to show you exactly how I decorate my square, and all that you will need is the square and something to color with. Are you ready? All right, so first I'm going to write the word yes, and then I will decorate around it. And then my craft is complete. I am super excited to see how you decorate your square to say, yes, we can trust God. And this relates to our story because God sent a message through Zechariah. And God told him that although things might be tough now, that the people can trust that one day in the future, things would be better. And that we can always, always, always trust God. Thanks so much for watching Grace Kids TV. Have a great day.